What's up everybody, it's Man of Low Moral Fiber here, my name's Luke, and in this video I'll be killing Pyro Pete, the Ultra Invincible, at overpowered level 8, using a modded longbow. Now when I say modded, this longbow isn't very heavily modded. Basically I just removed the elemental part of the gun in the gibbed save editor, so that instead of being a fire longbow, it is a non-elemental longbow, so we can actually kill Pete with it, because Pete resists fire damage almost entirely. Now when Borderlands 2 first came out, there was a sanity check on the game that didn't allow you to create modded weapons naturally, or not naturally, artificially using a saved editor, and then putting those into your inventory. And so you couldn't do that, but there was a loophole that allowed you to create modded weapons so long as you spawned them in the bank of the game. And then you could go withdraw those weapons and use them in game. And some people would create some pretty crazy stuff like infinity Norfleets and nonsense like that. However, there were some weapons that were being created that would adversely affect the gameplay of people. For example, guns that might have been severely overpowered. People would sneak into Sanctuary and then withdraw those weapons within a public match and then use those to kill all the enemies before other people could. And there were also weapons such as like a combined Shred-a-Fire and 12-pounder, I believe, which is just a cannonball launcher from the first DLC. People would combine those two weapons and it would crash most PCs because of the fire rate and the cannonball physics, and it would crash all consoles like pretty immediately. And so it was because of things like that that Gearbox pretty quickly, in my recollection, that's how I remember it anyway, that they patched it pretty quickly so that you couldn't spawn modded weapons into the bank like that unless you were using Cheat Engine on PC. There's still a way to do it, but it's a lot more difficult than just using a saved editor, obviously. Now back in Borderlands 1, there were even more issues with modded weapons. There were guns that would one-hit any enemy, and shields that made people invincible, and things that adversely affected gameplay in other ways as well, such as immediately crashing the game, or kind of ruining a person's save file by causing certain things to happen to it because of the save editor and stuff like that. It wasn't all bad, but some of it was obviously undesirable. And because of that, I think in the next game, in the Borderlands Pre Sequel, we are going to see a sanity check game-wide, like is now implemented in Borderlands 2. And there won't be a way, hopefully, when I say hopefully, it's from their perspective, obviously, that there won't be a way for anybody to go ahead and easily bring in modded weapons into a game. However, Borderlands is a pretty complex game, and even though they learned a lot making Borderlands 2, when making the pre-sequel, there may end up being a loophole again that allows for modded weapons, at least temporarily. And so that'll be kind of interesting to see. I know that back in the early days of Borderlands 2, and even Borderlands 1, there were YouTube videos that were getting a lot of views just because they were on modded weapons in Borderlands 2. So obviously they're popular among certain people and certain forums and groups of people, obviously. And so it's kind of a hot subject for some people. Some people think that modded weapons should be allowed in the game and that it just adds to the fun. Personally, I'm of the mindset that while it may add to the fun for some, it adversely affects the fun factor for a majority of people who are just trying to play the game at least pseudo-legitimately. Maybe they use a save editor to get some guns that were hard to get but actually exist in the game, as opposed to guns that really shouldn't exist in the game. For example, this modded longbow. Because of the sanity check in Borderlands 2, basically all you can do is remove a element of a weapon that usually has a element, such as a longbow or a hornet or a pimpernel or pyrophobia, etc. So I do thank you guys very much for watching. I do appreciate it. Be sure to share your thoughts on modded weapons and how they will be treated in Borderlands the Pre Sequel in the comments, and I'd like to read that and respond to some of your guys' thoughts on that. So I do thank you very much for watching one more time, and I hope to catch you next time. Bye, guys.